Hi, my name is Dr. Tiffany Ray. I'm the Vice President of Student Services at Germanna Community College. Today, we are standing in the History Pavilion at the Fredericksburg Nationals Ballpark, which includes an exhibit about local baseball. Baseball is often referred to as America's pastime. Baseball history reflects the country's past wrongs and accomplishments. Jim Crow laws and segregation affected the participation of African Americans in baseball. However, that did not stop them from playing the game. Jim Crow laws are laws based on the discrimination of race. Southern states passed these laws after the end of the Civil War. This time period is known as Reconstruction. During Reconstruction, Confederate states re-entered the United States. The ending of slavery and the passing of the 13th Amendment on January 31, 1865, did not put an end to racism. Jim Crow laws affected every aspect of life for Black Americans. Some laws made it harder for Black men to vote in elections. Other laws required segregation or separation of white and Black people in public spaces like restrooms, water fountains, and schools. These laws supported a perspective called separate but equal. Many people realized having separate facilities did not mean equal. Virginia passed its own set of Jim Crow laws. One of these laws, the 1926 Public Assemblage Act, required all public gatherings and entertainment spaces, such as sporting events and movies, to be segregated. At the Victoria Theater in downtown Fredericksburg, Black moviegoers had a separate ticket window and had to sit in the balcony. Separate ticket windows and seating were a common sight at baseball games too. Along with laws, people's prejudice or judgments caused racial segregation. This is seen in the history of Major League Baseball. Professional baseball did not start as a white-only league. In 1884, Moses Fleetwood Fleet Walker, a catcher for the Toledo Blue Stockings, was the first African American to play in the major leagues. 3 years later, major and minor league baseball owners adopted a secret promise that new Black ball players would no longer be hired. Walker and other Black ball players continued to play baseball professionally, but no new Black players were added to the league. By 1900, Major League Baseball was a white-only league, yet it did not keep African Americans from forming their own baseball teams across the country. Which is not a name of a local Black baseball team? A, the Blues, B, the Stars, C, the Whitecaps, D, the Grays. The correct answer is B, the Stars. The Blues, the Whitecaps, and the Grays were Fredericksburg's Black baseball teams that played in the early 1900s. Visiting Black teams traveled to Fredericksburg from places as far as Washington, D.C., Richmond, and rural counties south and west of the city. From 1908 through 1911, the local newspaper, the Free-Lance, ran a regular article called Colored Baseball. Reports published the final scores and game highlights. They often praised Fredericksburg Grays player Fred Harris's skills and good handiwork. Both Black and white fans gathered to watch these games, and although they gathered together, they were most likely segregated. At the same time the Fredericksburg Grays were playing, Black professional and club teams were growing across the country. In 1920, the Negro National League was founded in Kansas City, Missouri. The creation of a Black professional league inspired the start of other leagues across the nation. John Preston Pete Hill, a native of Culpeper, Virginia, got his start in pre-Negro leagues and would become a Negro League star. In 1919, Hill hit 28 home runs for the Detroit Stars. His record was only one fewer than Babe Ruth that season. Pete Hill was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 2006. There are 35 Negro League players in the Hall of Fame. Out of the following organizations, which was the first to integrate? A, Fredericksburg City Schools, B, Major League Baseball, C, local lunch counters, or D, the United States Armed Forces? The correct answer is B, Major League Baseball. While not the first sport Major League Baseball integrated before the United States Armed Forces, Fredericksburg area schools, and lunch counters. In the Fredericksburg area museum's exhibit Play Ball, America's Pastime in Fredericksburg, there's a baseball signed by Jackie Robinson, the first player to break Major League Baseball's color line in 1947. Robinson stepped onto Ebbets Field as a Brooklyn Dodger 60 years after Major League stopped hiring black players. Robinson would endure racism from fellow players and fans who did not want him playing baseball in the majors. Some Dodgers players threatened to sit out games rather than play with Robinson, until Leo DeRocher, the Dodger manager, informed the team that anyone unwilling to play with Robinson would be traded. Robinson bravely stood up for equal rights while playing baseball. His first season with the Dodgers, Robinson won Rookie of the Year and helped his team win the National League pennant. At the same time that Jackie Robinson was playing in the major leagues, local black and white children began to play pickup games together. Several people who grew up in Fredericksburg remember playing or watching unified sandlot-style baseball games as early as the 1940s. While black and white kids were playing pickup games, local schools and affiliated baseball teams were still segregated by race. School segregation was made illegal by the 1954 Supreme Court case Brown versus Board of Education. The court ordered segregated schools to integrate but gave no deadline. White Southerners who were against combining the black and white schools resisted. This resistance delayed school and school sports integration across the South, including the Fredericksburg region. Some local African American parents and students took school districts to court so they could attend an integrated school. Fredericksburg community member Charles E. Dion Jr. organized and managed the area's first all-black high school all-star team. The team contained the best players from local black high schools Walker Grant, John J. Wright, and Union High School, and between 1957 and 1958 had 69 wins and only 3 losses. Alonzo Al Bumbry is one of the most successful baseball players to come from Fredericksburg. After graduating in 1964 from King George County's African American School, he went on to attend Virginia State College. While there, Bumbry played with the Stafford Braves, an integrated semi-pro team during the summer. He caught the attention of coach, manager, and Baltimore Orioles scout Dick Bowie. Like Jackie Robinson, Bumbry also faced discrimination. While in the minor leagues, Bumbry recalls entering a restaurant in Alabama with a fellow ball player and not being served. Bumbry signed with the Baltimore Orioles in 1968. He played in his first major league game on September 5, 1972. In 1973, Bumbry was the American League's Rookie of the Year. On November 4, 2010, Al Bumbry was inducted into the King George Sports Hall of Fame. Before playing Major League Baseball, Bumbry had served in the U.S. Army. He earned a Bronze Star for his service during the Vietnam War. Which was the first local school district to integrate? A. Caroline County Schools, B. Fredericksburg City Schools, C. King George County Schools, D. Spotsylvania County Schools, or E. Stafford County Schools. The correct answer is E. Stafford County Schools was the first to integrate. In 1961, sisters Cynthia and Dorothea Montague enrolled at Stafford Elementary School. All Stafford schools were integrated by 1965. Fredericksburg, King George, and Spotsylvania fully integrated their schools in 1968. Caroline County Schools integrated a year later. School desegregation brought the integration of sports teams. Segregation affected African American participation in sports like baseball. The work of activists, people who work for change, helped integrate national and local baseball teams. Like all aspects of American life, baseball is still striving to be a fair and welcoming space. In 1997, 50 years after Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier, Major League Baseball permanently retired Robinson's number, 42. Here in Fredericksburg, the owners of the Fredericksburg Nationals wanted to honor him in a special way. The stadium is located at 42 Jackie Robinson Way.